Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so glad you're here. So today, we're diving into something from the silvercore.io growth team that is, well, frankly, it's fascinating, but it's also absolutely urgent. We're talking about what AI is saying about your senior care business right now. If you run a home care agency or a senior living community, you probably think your online reputation is just your Google star rating, right? Well, actually, behind the scenes, AI tools are secretly building these highly detailed, super emotionally driven reputation summaries about your business. And here's the real kicker. Families are reading these summaries before they even think about picking up the phone to call you. It's a massive, absolute game changer in how trust is built. Let's just dive right into this and see exactly how it plays out in the real world. To really wrap our heads around this, I want to share a story we found to the source material about a home care agency owner. Over a stretch of, say, 3 or 4 months, this owner noticed something incredibly frustrating but really subtle. Her phone just rang a little less. There wasn't some huge dramatic drop-off, no major scandal or bad press, literally no obvious cause she could point to. It was just this quiet, steady decline in her lead volume. And honestly, as a business owner, there is nothing more anxiety-inducing than a silent drop in business, especially when you feel like you were doing absolutely everything right. She was pouring her heart into her work, but somehow that vital connection with new families was just kind of quietly fading away in the background. So they tried a totally new approach to figure out what was going on. They literally just typed her agency's name into ChatGPT and asked, "What do families say about this business?" And wow, this just brilliantly illustrates the new reality we're living in. When she hit enter, ChatGPT spat back this really brutal summary. It said, some reviewers have noted communication gaps during care transitions and slow response to family concerns. I mean, ouch, right? Imagine being that owner pouring your absolute soul into your agency and reading that devastating summary. But this was the exact narrative families were being fed. The AI wasn't just giving a rating, it was actively generating this highly specific, damaging storyline about her agency's reliability right at the most critical moments of care. But here is where the math gets absolutely shocking. When she went and pulled up her Google reviews to figure out where on earth this AI was getting its information, she only had 14 reviews in total. And out of those 14, just 3, literally 3 of them, mentioned communication and response time in a negative way. The other 11 reviews were totally fine. But those 3 negative complaints completely hijacked her entire business reputation. Just think about that. A tiny, microscopic fraction of her actual feedback became the overarching summary that defined her agency to every single family who searched for her. The algorithm took those 3 isolated complaints and just magnified them into undeniable facts. And this completely reframes the whole shift we're seeing as we head toward 2026. You see, the old way of reputation management, it was all about counting star ratings. If you had a solid 4.5 average, you felt pretty safe. But the new way? AI doesn't care about counting stars. It reads the actual content. It goes deep into the text to pull out specific, credible, and emotionally resonant claims. It's looking for patterns in what people are feeling and experiencing, and it builds a cohesive narrative out of those raw emotions. If 3 families say you don't communicate well during a vulnerable transition, the AI flags that as a critical, emotional truth about your business. It completely bypasses that nice overall star score you worked so hard for. Now, you might be wondering, okay, where exactly are these AI tools getting all this data? Well, it's definitely not just Google. When a family asks about a local senior care business, the AI aggressively scans everywhere. We're talking Google, Yelp, industry-specific sites like caring.com and Senior Advisor, and even Facebook. It's basically aggregating the chatter from every corner of the internet to build a profile from every loose thread it can find. So a neglected review on some secondary platform, maybe a Facebook comment you completely forgot about, that can absolutely be pulled right into the main AI summary a family reads on ChatGPT. Nowhere is off limits. So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Unaddressed reviews write your AI story. Remember our home care agency owner? When she looked at those 3 negative reviews about communication, she realized something terrible. She hadn't responded to a single one of them. Because she stayed silent, those 3 complaints became the unchallenged foundational core of her public record. You have to remember, AI systems are essentially unbiased aggregators, right? If a negative claim just sits there with no counter-narrative or context provided by the business, the AI just assumes, well, this must be the absolute truth. Silence isn't just bad customer service anymore. It's literally handing the pen over to your worst critics so they can write your AI narrative. But don't panic. because you absolutely have the power to change this. And it starts with a true professional response. Now, that is not just a polite, "we're sorry you feel that way" apology. It's a specific reply that acknowledges the concern and, this is the most important part, describes the action you took to fix it. When you do this, you fundamentally modify the public record. Because guess what? AI tools read your response just as closely as they read the original review. If the AI sees that you acknowledged a communication gap and say, "put a new 24-hour family update policy in place," it ingests that context. It shifts the whole narrative from "they have terrible communication" to "they had an issue, but they actively fixed it." It's a real game changer. Okay, let's look at how this builds into an actual strategy you can use right now. Silvercore.io recommends a super actionable 3-layer blueprint to take back control. First up, monitor weekly. You've got to check your reviews across all platforms. You literally cannot afford to miss a comment on caring.com just because you're only looking at Google. Second, respond within 48 hours. Every single review, positive or negative. Speed and consistency really matter to the algorithm. And third, generate proactively. This blueprint is exactly how you stop being a passive victim of the AI and start actively steering it in your favor. Actually, let's zero in on that third step for a second, because I think it's the most empowering part of this whole explainer. You have to proactively generate specific positive reviews by capturing what we call the moments of highest satisfaction. You know exactly when your families are the most relieved and grateful. Maybe it's after that very first successful week of care, or right after a really smooth, comforting transition. You need to ask for reviews in those exact moments and encourage them to be specific. You've got to feed the AI better, richer, positive data so that when it summarizes your business, it has this massive wealth of glowing, specific stories to pull from. Which brings us to the absolute most practical step you can take today. As noted in the source material, the very first thing Silvercore.io does with any new senior care client is run an AI reputation audit. It sounds surprising, but it's an absolutely necessary first step. I mean, you simply cannot fix a narrative if you have no idea what it currently says. The results of these audits are almost always eye-opening for business owners. Sometimes they highlight complaints you never knew about, and sometimes they actually reveal hidden strengths that the AI loves. But they always tell you exactly where to begin your fix. You have to know your baseline before you can improve it. So that leaves us with the most important thing for you to think about today. What is AI saying about your business right now? Seriously, if a family's sitting at their kitchen table, typed your agency's name into ChatGPT this very second, what story would they be told? I really encourage you to investigate your own AI footprint today. Don't let 3 unaddressed reviews define your life's work and your passion. Get out there and take control of your narrative. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this empowers you to take absolute charge of what the AI is telling the world about you.